Thank you, Mr. Holborn. It's a pleasure to speak in this debate this afternoon. First of all, if we run the full 3 hours, Mr. Holborn, I'd like to apologise for having to leave a little early. I'd also like to thank and congratulate my honourable friend, the member for Carshalton and Wallington, for presenting this petition to the House in the way that he has done, in such a compelling manner. Mr. Holborn, I should also inform the House of my interest as a tenant bee farmer's son in my home constituency of West Dorset. And finally, I would like to thank all those of you at the back, the RSPCA, the Conservative Animal Welfare Foundation, Battersea Cats and Dogs Home, and all the others I've forgot. I'm so sorry about that. But we're really grateful for all the briefs and so on that you've let us have, both for this debate and for the previous 3 years, for those of us who've been in Parliament since 2019, who've been championing the animal welfare cause, and we really very much appreciate it. Mr. Holborn, back in 2020, I brought a private member's bill to this House. It was the Animal Welfare Sentencing Bill. It was a bill that went through into law, and it increased the maximum sentence for those who commit cruelty to animals from 6 months to 5 years. It was one of those bills that, like this one, I think, widely supported across the House. There was no one that voted against it. I was very pleased about that because we were a bit short for time. But it went through. And today, in England and Wales, we have people who have been cruel to animals that are now spending a lot longer in jail because of it than they would have done before. In my second reading speech on the floor of the House of Commons, I also talked about how important it is that we as a country look to address the live export of animals for fattening and slaughter. In that debate, I also clearly articulated the evidence that I think the BBC brought forward, that animals, primarily cows, that have been raised in the United Kingdom were found as part of an investigation to be slaughtered in Lebanon and Libya and even further afield. That is the reason why we need to bring this bill back to the House of Commons and get it through. Because organisations, the Honourable Member for South Thanet, who's not in his place at the moment, made reference to the Kent Action Against Live Exports. They're a group that deserves huge tribute for all the work that they have done. They have shone a light on the most disgraceful situations and conditions that our animals have been forced to endure, having to travel hours and hours and hours all the way down through to southern Europe. This is not acceptable. And I think it's important that we do recognise that whilst there are some in the House that disagree about the value of leaving the European Union, the reality is that being part of the European Union required freedom of movement for goods and services, and animals, including cows and sheep, are part of that. Honourable members previously to my contribution in this speech have made the point very soundly, in my view, that we are now in the position to be able to control our own laws in this respect, and the government should not hang on a moment longer than it absolutely needs to, in order to grasp this issue. In West Dorset, Mr. Holborn, I have also had countless very, very sad cases of where animal worrying by dogs has led to the death of sheep and cows. Gladys, the Highland cow, died very sadly. She had an unborn calf by falling off the edge of Egerton Hill, which was a very steep drop, and she died as a result of that. That meant that this matter is very live to my constituents in West Dorset, because there are many of us that have campaigned on this issue for a long time. I started that campaign as part of my private member's bill and continue to this day. I understand very much that the government has got a lot of work to do. I'm very pleased the government has got a lot of work to do. But I don't think that we have so much work that we can't just fit in an extra few hours. I would just like to place on record, Mr. Hollowbone, and I'm very happy to tell the Chief Whip afterwards, I would be very happy to spend a bit longer here on a Friday if necessary to get this bill through, because it is so important that we do so. Mr. Hollowbone, I would just like to conclude my remarks by once again thanking all those who have campaigned so vigorously and in support of so many of us on the animal welfare agenda. I petition my right honourable friend and minister to take heed of these concerns, and I should be delighted to hear from him or indeed any member of the government in the event of me being able to help any further than I already am to bring this bill back to the House urgently. Thank you.
Elaine Saxby.
Thank you, Mr. Hollowbone, and it's a pleasure to serve under your chair. And I'd like to take